Hi there, good afternoon, and you've tuned into ET now. This is Market Fatafat with me, Shell D'Souza. Along with me, I have Vinny Motiwala. Very good afternoon to you, Vinny. But not a great afternoon coming in for Indian markets because looks like Friday blues have hit the markets. They're not cheering. It is that the fact that it's Friday. The benchmark indices are in the negative territory. As you can see, Nifty, Sensex both in the negative territory near the day's lowest point coming in for the benchmark indices. Let's take a look and see what Nifty Bank is doing because that was underperforming the benchmarks. Right now, actually, it's outperforming the benchmark indices. It's trading with cuts of actually flat with a negative bias right now. Mid-cap index is at the day's lowest point. So is the small cap index, mirroring what mid-cap index is doing. So today, the broader markets are underperforming the benchmark indices. If you look at the advance decline ratio, actually is worsened since the start of the day. Right now, you have the advance decline ratio very much tilted in the favors of the decline. So talking about the sectoral indices, none of the sectors are in the positive territory, and among the top sectoral losers is PSU Bank as well as Metals and Realty. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time, Vinny.
Absolutely. Quite subdued, dull day. Friday blues is the new thing that seems like it's happening on the markets. But on that note, let's get started with all the stocks that are buzzing in trade, either on the back of news flows or on the back of technicals. And on the technicals, we're joined by Vaishali Parekh from Prabhudas Leeladhar. While from the research team, we have Harsh as well as Pizza joining in with us. A very good afternoon to all three of y'all, and good afternoon to you as well, Cheryl. Let's start with the first stock that is in focus today. We're talking about Voltas. This one is under pressure today, and that is because of a weak set of numbers that was reported by the company in Q2 FY24. When you look at it, Voltas continues to be impacted. The numbers continue to be impacted by the project business, which is seeing a bit of a losses there. There was a miss that was coming in terms of the EPM project. Like I mentioned, that's the project business of the company. Now, EPM incurred an EBITDA level loss also for the fourth consecutive quarter. The management yet again attributed this to the provisioning on account of delayed collection in overseas project as well. UCP segment that also saw revenue and margin performance was marginally better than the expectation. 20% volume growth was, which is considering an erratic monsoon and lower consumer demand, reflects a decent performance from the cooling segment and the UCP segment. But all in all, weak set of numbers that came in from Voltas, and that is why we're seeing that the stock is under pressure today, down almost 2% in trade as of now, Sharon.
Right, let's shift focus. Let's talk about IGL, and that particular counter has fallen most in over 3 years, and this is there are various news factors actually impacting IGL stock performance in today's trading session. Last time I checked, IGL was trading lower by approximately 10.9%. Now it's slipped even much lower than those levels, and like I said, almost 3-year lows, or rather biggest intraday fall in about 3 years for IGL. Jefferies today has downgraded the stock to a hold rating, and not just that, they've gone ahead and they've actually cut the target price also to 465 from 565 rupees per share. This is on back of growing EV risk. Remember, the Delhi government has submitted policy on EV adoption by cab aggregators, delivery service providers, as well as e-commerce entities for approval. And this could impact approximately 30% of IGL's overall volume starting FY25, is what Jefferies has noted in their note. They've also said the policy mandates phase-wise conversion of aggregators' fleet, with share of EV in new purchases rising to 50% in 3 years and 100% in the next 5 years. Undoubtedly, this will impact IGL's volumes going ahead, and that's why Jefferies has downgraded the stock, cut the target price. You can see it on your screens. It's an impact on IGL as well, and also some of the auto companies also will be impacted by this move.
Absolutely, keeping an eye out on IGL. But let's move on, talk about the first stock on technicals, and Vaishali, you picked out on mobile for us. Last 6 months has been fabulous when you look at it in terms of a stock move, right? From somewhere around the 70 levels, today the stock is around 125, almost an 85% return in the last 6 months. Would you still suggest a buyer, or maybe it's time to start booking profits?
No, I don't think so. First of all, good afternoon, all of you. And yes, actually, on mobile, I have a different view, because if you see the chart, it's just got out of its trading range and it's ready for a breakout. And since a couple of days, we are seeing good volume also setting in. So I would say, well, near-term target resistance would be at around 130, 132. But a move past that, I think the stock is ready for a target of 150 to 170. So my view stays bullish to be bought at every decline, with 100 as support level.
Moving on then, Harsh, Ary Drugs is the counter that you're tracking for us. Why is it in news?
Well, Ary Drugs in the news on the back of the board meeting, and they've disclosed numbers on the back of that board meeting, and you can see that the stock is down 4% as a reaction to that. Let's quickly look at the broad level numbers. When I'm looking at it year over year, you're seeing some amount of pressure coming in with regard to both revenue as well as EBITDA. So revenue is down roughly 7% on a year-on-year basis. EBITDA growing just 3%, and that largely is in consequence. The margins expanded, and that's largely in consequence of the fact that actually the bottom line has actually declined, which is the revenue number, and therefore what you're seeing is that your EBITDA margins have come in at just about 11.9% versus the 10.7% number same time last year. You're also seeing profit which is up just about 2%. So soft set of numbers overall. Even when I'm looking at it sequentially, you're seeing a decline in revenue, you're seeing a sharp 10% decline in EBITDA as well. So you're seeing all of those factors playing out on the stock price today.
Those are the factors playing out after the numbers for Ary Drugs. But talking about an earnings candidate, Lisa, Tanla Platforms on the other hand is performing quite well in trade after its numbers. What were they looking like?
Yeah, very strong set of earnings, and it seems like the street has cheered the earnings coming in from Tanla Platforms, because in early trade the stock surged around 9% and it's still up around 5% as we speak. So talking about the revenue, it was at 1,009 crore and it crossed the 1,000 crore level for the first time, and it was up on quarter basis. It was up 10.8%, and the top line, that was mainly aided by growth in the organic revenue. It was up 7%, and even digital platform segment, that grew 27% on year-on-year basis. Talking about the EBITDA, that was up around 8% sequentially. Margin also, that saw a slight bit of pressure, but still it was kind of stable at around 19.6% versus 20%. PAT, however, that the growth was not as much as seen as the revenue, because the net profit, that was impacted by the lower interest income and also higher depreciation charges. This is on account of the amortization on the intangible assets, and this is on the back of the recent acquisitions that they have done. So overall it was a good set of numbers coming in from Tanla Platforms, and that is why the stock is seeing gains in today's session.
Right. Moving on, Vaishali, IDFC Bank is a stock that you are tracking for us on the charts. How is it looking technically?
So technically, I would say in a market like today, I mean, where we've been seeing all the exhaustion coming in almost all stocks, IDFC comparatively is holding on to its these high levels. So it would be a conditional buy, well, above 1470, 1480. This stock is ready for a takeoff towards 1520. So 1440 would be now the near-term support level, and I would say it's a buy above 1470.
Okay, let's move on and also actually listen into what the management of IDFC Bank had to say. The board has decided if they find me fit and proper and have to apply for my extension by next June. That's the word coming in from Sumant Katapalya, the MD and CEO at IDFC Bank. Listen in.
So I think the board has to decide whether they find me fit and proper to apply for an extension.
But they'll have to apply in next 6 months.
By June next year. So I think that's a
months.
process which will go on. But I think we have to wait for that time and place to come. And I think if I've done everything right, I don't see no reason for the board not to give me an extension for the next 3 years. And I think so we have to wait for that appropriate moment. So the board is the determined. But otherwise, having said that, the bank will always have succession planning in place. Bank cannot run on one individual. There's always a succession planning in place, and there are always identified individuals who can take over from me at any point of time in case there is something which happens to the bank. So the continuity of the bank can never be questioned.
No, you manage the turning economy pitch very well. The swings of COVID and the volatility of interest rates, I think you've really, steered the ship remarkably well.
Just do the right things and worry about the client. I think you'll always get the right answer. The results will take some time. I've taken some time. Yeah. But at the end, when the results come in, they are more sustainable and much more granular.
Let's move on and talk about Metro Brands. This one too is in focus on the back of its numbers. When you look at it, Metro Brands reported a good set of numbers this time around. And overall, when you're looking at the revenue, that's a growth of around 17%. The EBITDA performance, operational performance has been strong as well. EBITDA was up by 6% approximately, while the margins were at 28% versus 30.9% last year. Yes, margins slight bit subdued, but all in all, it's a good set of numbers because strong revenue growth momentum was there. And this is despite the festive season being shifted to the next quarter, that's Q3 as well. All in all, decent numbers. Even when you look at it, what Axis Capital is saying also, they continue to maintain their rating. There's no change in their rating as of now, and they've given a target price of 985 rupees per share, which they're maintaining as well. And after a good set of numbers, the company's stock price is up almost 1%. The company is confident of maintaining a CAGR growth over the next long term of 18% as well. Keeping an eye out on Metro Brands after its numbers.
Right, and keep your eyes out on Atul also, because that's numbers. Those numbers are flashing on the bottom of the screen. As you can see, the PAT is coming significantly lower on a year-on-year basis. If you look at the PAT number, 90.3 versus 150.9 crore rupees on a year-on-year basis. If you look at the revenue from operations, it's coming at around 1,193.7 crores versus 1,487 crore rupees on a year-on-year basis. So on a year-on-year basis, if you look at the numbers, they are pretty weak numbers coming in for Atul. If you look at the margins also, there is a contraction on a year-on-year basis, 13% versus 14.8%. And you can see that movement in the stock price as well. When you look at Atul Limited, the stock is actually trading lower right now by approximately 2%. But there's one stock that is in focus and was trading higher in trade today, was Titagarh Rail. If you look at the stock, it was trading higher on back of a contract that it had bagged. Remember, the stock actually started the day on a very low footing, but now on an intraday basis, the stock saw gains of approximately 9%. It was the biggest intraday percentage gain since August 31st. The company said that they've entered contract with Gujarat Metro Rail Corporation for 350 crore rupees order. On back of that good substantial order win, the stock is trading higher by about 5% as we speak.
Okay, surely keeping an eye on Titagarh Rail, but there's another stock that is buzzing in trade today as well, and that is Paytm, and this one has been in focus for a while now, Vaishali. When you look at it in terms of a 6 months performance for the company as well, 50% return from Paytm. What is the upside now you're expecting, or are you actually expecting a further upside?
Well, actually, yes, chartically we are seeing a good up move coming in, and now that I'm seeing the weekly chart also, we are seeing good improvement and a breakout above 910 levels. And right now we are at 978. So I think it would be ready for an upward target of around 1100 to 1150. So my view stays positive, and it would be a buy with the support of 900 levels.
Moving on, Harsh, let's talk about HRCL and why is this one in focus today?
Right, numbers, Cheryl, that's the order of the day at the moment, I think. Let's quickly look at the Q2 numbers. 1173 crore is where the revenue from operations are at. It's down 5% on a year-on-year basis, up roughly 12%, but that year-on-year number is far more relevant. And you're looking at EBITDA as well, which has declined 6% sequentially, and it's declined 14% on a year-on-year basis. So your EBITDA has come in at 175 crore. Your margins too have declined significantly, 2.6% knock-on margins on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Even year-on-year, it's down roughly 1.4%. So you're seeing all of that translating to profit after tax, which has come in lower by 7% year over year. I beg your pardon, 17% year over year, 7% sequentially is what we are seeing on HFCL. With regard to PAT, it's come in at 84 crore. And therefore, what you're seeing is the knock on the share price as well, down 4% as we speak.
All right, so that's HFCL for you. A lot of stocks are left to discuss, but we'll slip into a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.
Fatafat on ET. Now let's keep it going with all the stocks that are in focus today. And moving on to the next one, and Vaishali, LTIMindtree. That's the stock that you've picked out for us. You know, when you look at the numbers also, the commentary that came in for the second half of the year was quite strong, and we've seen LTIMindtree buzzing in trade post that as well. On the charts, what's the view coming in? Is it a positive view for LTIMindtree?
I would definitely think so, because the stock has been in quite a lull and into a corrective mode. But yesterday, from the candle that we saw signs of reversal. So I would now say 5200 acts as a good support level, and projected target now comes to 5,900. So of course this would be a positional view, but I think right now the way the chartical formation occurs, I think it's ready for a higher target.
That is LTI Mindtree. Moving out, Tata Communications. Lisa, that one came out with its numbers yesterday, post-market hours. How were they?
Right, a weak set of numbers reported by Tata Communication, and it's reflected in the stock price as well. The stock is down around 4%. Now talking about the revenue saw sequential growth of around 2% at 4,873 crore. Talking about the segments, the data business or revenue growth, that was at 10%, but it came lower than what was expected, and that was on account of the slower growth in collaboration as well as the media segment. Moving on to the digital service segment, that also grew around 16.3% on year-on-year basis. EBITDA, that saw a decline of just around 1% on Q-on-Q basis, so it was largely flat. Profit was down, and that was owing to higher depreciation, and also last quarter it saw impact of higher income. So the last quarter looks higher compared to this quarter. So even the FCF conversion was relatively weak due to higher working capital, and the net debt that also increased by around 1,000 crore and which stands at around 7,000 crore. So on the back of all these factors, the stock is seeing pressure owing to weak results reported by Tata Communications.
That's Tata Communications, but Vaishali, you've picked out a mid-cap IT name as well, and that is Persistent. What are the charts indicating for this one? Similar trends we could expect like an LTI Mindtree?
I would say so, because once you see it's already in an upward trend, and in spite of all the choppiness, this stock is holding very well, and post results, of course, it is showing even further strength. We are seeing a good rise in volume and all, and I think if you see in the IT sector, it is Persistent and Birla stocks which have really outperformed. So I maintain my positive bias. It would be a buy even now for a target of 6,200 to 6,400.
That's the view that you are coming in on Persistent System as well. But the next stock that you picked up for us is HUDCO. And actually, this is the fourth day that we're talking about HUDCO today. First, it was on the back of news flows. Today, on the back of charts. Vaishali, what's HUDCO indicating today? It's a bit subdued in trade. The last 5 days, we have seen that pressure building in on HUDCO as well. What is the view now for HUDCO?
Yeah, so actually speaking, we've seen that this stock really rallied high. It went towards the high of 95 levels and all. But now if you see, it has come towards a crucial support level of 75. We are right now at 77 levels. So I would say that the stock would do well from here on, because the risk-reward ratio is also very, very favorable. So keeping in mind 75 as a crucial support level, and once we see some signs of reversal, we would be seeing the stock retesting 90 levels as well.
So that is HUDCO for you. Moving on, Emirates is all set to provide Indian passengers a step up with their premium economy offerings from Mumbai and Bangalore starting from October 29th. My colleague Aishwarya caught up with Adnan Kazim, who is the Chief Commercial Officer at Emirates. Let's hear out what exactly he had to say and what's on the offer for us.
The economy demand that we're seeing ramping up, so we thought there is a clause that needs to be introduced, which is the premium economy. It has the privacy that passenger is looking after. It has sort of better luxurious and more luxurious product offering. It comes with 40-inch pitch with a recline of 8 inches. India is point number 6 in terms of the countries, in terms of the deployment. That will be commencing by 29th of October into 2 points. Mumbai and Bangalore will be getting this service.
Will there be premium economy offerings? And what will be the fares as well as the ticket size?
Sure.
Overall?
I mean, in terms of the routes, today we have already mentioned about 13 destinations that are embedded with a premium economy. They are all sitting in Sydney, Melbourne, as I mentioned. Tokyo will be getting before end of the year. We have Singapore, London Heathrow, 4 flights a day that we have with a premium economy. United States, I mentioned, Sao Paulo. And more of these will be announced as we progress. By end of the...
What about the fare?
Normally they set at doubling of the economy fare today, so you pay whatever you pay in economy average fare, and it depends on the route, it depends on the demand during the season that you, but in average it's normally one-fold or two-fold, of the economy fare that you pay today.
मैडम को पैसे से प्यार नहीं